Okay, it looks like we're live, guys. Hey, everyone. Glad you're all here. And yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes. We have Marina here with us. Hi, Marina.
Hi.
So yeah, we're all set up and ready to go. Cross our fingers, no glitches this time. Last week we had quite the issue.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had a run around for a good 10, 20 minutes. It was, yeah. But today we're all good, right?
Technology.
Hope I didn't just jinx it. All right, so for everybody that's here and watching, welcome. If you're new, the way that everything is set up is you should see the main screen, which is me and then Marina. We switch back and forth. You'll be able to see some slide presentations that Marina has provided for us, and also she'll be demonstrating some things live, which is really cool. And then on the right side of your screen, you should be able to see a chat box. If you go on there, you can chat amongst all of your cake friends that are online, get to know people, and we have a pretty fun cake community. We have our stalwarts that are here every week, and and new ones every week too. So it's really fun. But yeah, go ahead and say hi and get to know people a little bit. If you have any technical problems throughout the training, you can go ahead and mention them there. We have Bobby in the chat who is monitoring, and he can try and help out where needed. And also, if you have any questions for Marina throughout the training, make sure you ask them there. Because we do go through and we do monitor the chat, and we will ask all the questions that we can to Marina that you guys submit, and make sure you get plenty of questions asked. I love to have the trainings where we just get a million questions, and we try to get through most of them, but sometimes we just have more than we can handle. But for the most part, we try to get all of your questions answered, and we really do appreciate all of your input and questions. And yeah, so we will get started in just a minute here. Um, just so you guys know, there is a giveaway today, and there is actually a discount for Craftsy, which is going to be really cool. So, um, yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll announce that in just a minute. Um, let's see. It looks like in the chat there's actually already some information up there that lets you guys know about the giveaway and the discount. So it's got basically everything you need in there in that little thing. So yeah.
Can I see the questions, Amelia, or no? Not from my
Yeah,
end.
if you want to, you can. I didn't explain to you how that works. So for you, Marina, if you go over to the left side of your screen, you should
The
see
left
a
side.
little, yeah, there's a drop-down menu.
Uh-huh.
There should be a little white box with a red lightning strike in it. It says Webinar Jam. If you click on that, that will bring up the chat in the right side. So, and then once that does, you'll want to click on where it says chat, and then you also want to click on enable chat box. So, and then you can be able to see
So
what
the
people are
box
saying.
that has the lightning bolt, you said?
Yeah, it's a white
Okay.
box, has a lightning bolt. When
Gotcha.
you mouse over, it says Webinar Gem.
Okay. I see. Hi from Central Florida. Hi from
Yay!
Stella. Hello from India. Wow.
Yeah, from
India,
Kenya. Yeah, pretty awesome. It is so fun to see where everybody is coming
Portland,
from.
Tennessee. Bonnie. Hi. Why am I coming up as an unknown? How funny. I've never looked at it before. Hot and humid Michigan.
Awesome. Okay, someone asked, what are we discussing today? It's about wafer paper, so it should be pretty fun. So, all right, we will pause for just a minute for, to edit out the very beginning, and we'll get started. And yeah, and yeah. I guess we're all set. This is just crazy. We're all ready and no problems. You're you're my good luck charm today, Marina.
Um,
All right. Okay, we'll pause for just a second.
okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our CakeFu Masters series. I am Amelia Carbine, your host, and I am very glad that you guys are all here today and watching. We really do appreciate all of you that come and watch CakeFu. It's a really fun thing to see the attention that is given to CakeFu and the following that we have, and it's really wonderful. And hope that we can provide some really great information for you today. And I'm positive that we can because we have Marina Sousa with us, and Marina Sousa is she's one of the top in the industry. I mean, she's just what can you say about Marina? Everybody knows Marina, right? So welcome, Marina. We're so glad that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So Marina, you have done it all. You've been on the Food Network challenge. You've done the Food Network last cake standing. Is that what it's called?
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes. You say that. Yeah.
Yeah, those of us who partook in it have a certain affinity for it. Yes.
Yes. As we have heard. In our previous trainings, we've talked about that, and I think that it's really. I mean, it was a fun show to watch, but also difficult to see that you guys had to vote each other off. That was the hardest thing ever to have to deal with.
Yeah, that was actually in the season before me. That was one of my contractual negotiations that I refused, that I wouldn't do it if they were going to make us
Really?
each other off in the second season. So they didn't do
I
that,
love
but
that.
they certainly made up for it with other cruel twists.
I remember seeing you wading through a pool at like the Caesar Palace. Is that where it was? Caesar's Palace?
That was certainly fun, and yeah, a lot of people online have had fun with that one. There's some blog out there somewhere that like has photoshopped me making it look like I'm carrying a cake like through the waters of Ethiopia with sharks behind me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So scary.
Definitely a fun season to watch. I forgot that you guys didn't actually vote people off that second season.
Yeah, there was only
Yeah.
two of the series, and rightfully so. I think that was kind of the beginning of the end of Challenge in general.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of cake decorators watch them, and it's wonderful to have them, but we want to see the actual instructional part of things. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly, which is
yeah.
kind of one of the reasons why I was so keen on Craftsy,
Mhm.
because it really is about education and technique and showing different things. And I think those people who really loved Challenge in the beginning, that's why we watched. And it just kind of took a hard left turn into reality TV land. And I think Craftsy has kind of picked up where that left off.
That's
So,
great.
been
That's
good
wonderful.
part of both.
Yeah, and you know what? We love Craftsy. We promote Craftsy all the time. I think it's a wonderful wonderful thing. And today we're going to be talking about a new Craftsy class that you have out. It's not that new, but it's fairly new, right?
Yeah, it came out, I think, about 6 or 7 weeks ago now.
Okay.
It's called Building Better Cakes, Creative Cake Separators. Kind of a mouthful. And yeah, it's just really kind of a basic overview of different cake structures, and then gives you a couple of different decor and design options based around each of these structure systems. So it was a class I was excited to film because structure seems to still be a mystery to some people, and it's really not that hard. So it was a fun one to film.
Awesome. I'm pulling up a link right here that I'm going to show you guys. This is a discount link for Marina's Craftsy class, 25% off for the next 48 hours. So you guys can jump on that, take advantage of the 25% off of her Craftsy class. And today we're actually going to be doing a giveaway on this Craftsy class. And we're actually going to be giving away a few other things that I will get to in just a minute. We'll pull up a picture and show you guys a nice picture of everything. But I wanted to talk about this Craftsy class a little bit because I love the idea of the cake separators. You know, because you see in cakes online all the time these amazing cakes with these, you know, structures that, you know, these separators that you think, how's that being held up? How does that work, you know? And, you know, I love that you're addressing this in a Craftsy class because, you know, it's fun to have, you know, something separating the cake tiers, adding that height, adding that, you know, grand scale to things, and making it look almost gravity defying, you know, in a way. So
Yeah, I mean, Ghana, I think when you know, first use the term cake separators, people have bad flashbacks of the 80s with the plastic
with the plastic Wilton.
fountains and the stairways and all that good stuff. So I get that, you know, as a subject matter, people kind of shy away from it. And for years, it's been, you know, people want stacked cakes one on top of the other. But when I guess when I really started to think about it in a different way was when I was playing around with my bead molds and really needed to create a negative space in order to have the full chandelier effect. So, you know, that and just a couple of other design concepts like the floating tiers and that kind of a thing. And when it really comes down to it, like I said, it's pretty basic. And once you have the confidence to stack you know, the cakes in different configurations, that just opens up a whole world of possibility design-wise.
Awesome. That is great. Okay, so I'm going to pull up some pictures now, and I want to let you guys all know that the giveaway for all of this is going to be on this link that's in the chat box. There's a little thing at the top that says admin notice, so you guys should be able to see the links to the giveaway and also a link to the discount. And also a link to Marina's Cake Shop because, as I will pull up here and get this playing. Okay, so as you can see, this is Marina's class. These are the things that are talked about in your class. So.
Yeah, so it's basically broken down into 3 sections. So one is a styrofoam cake separation, and the 2 kind of ivory cakes to the right of the bead cake are separated with a styrofoam configuration, which gives us lots of negative space to either create a gate around it, which is what the cake in the farthest back against the wall is, and the one in the foreground is kind of different. It's what I kind of started referring to as like a sandwich cake, where there was a smaller styrofoam in between 2 tiers that were the same diameter. So you kind of create like a little cave all the way around it. And in this case, I lined it with some of my brooch molds. And then the second category is a center pole configuration. And that's the cake that you see with the tulips in the way back, and then the scroll type design in the foreground. And then the third one.
Gorgeous.
Or just, I called it asymmetric because they're both a little bit different, but it's just about kind of cantilever style configurations and just kind of thinking outside the box and figuring out how to stabilize pretty much anything. And, you know, back when Challenge first started, all of us who were kind of the pioneers in that regard really kind of made up structure. I mean, there's no book on how to do it, and so a lot of this is just kind of the fruit of trial and error.
Yeah, well, and you know, it's really true. I think that's one thing that Challenge did provide was that that feeling of wanting to push yourself and trying to figure out a way to make something work that normally you would think wouldn't work,
Yeah.
And so to have you guys that have done the challenge and and to have to come up with some crazy structures, to have you guys come on and teach people how you did that and how you know how best to do that. I think that's a really really great thing.
Yeah, and there's, certainly not one right or wrong way to do anything. I mean, I think everybody kind of has their own spin on it, and it's been really cool to see, what the next crop of cake designers has come up with as a result of kind of beginning their careers watching challenge, and
Hmm.
it's just kind of a layering on effect, which is really cool to watch.
Awesome. Okay, so now on this slide, you guys, this is part of the giveaway. So in the Craftsy class, there is the cake that has the separator with the styrofoam and that really cool structure right there. It's um, using Marina's molds here. We've got the Bella and the Bellissimo, and also the Cascade.
That one is used in one of the asymmetrical designs, the one with the beads hanging down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Cascade bead mold and a couple of bags of isomalt. Thank you to Simi Cakes. That's what we're going to be giving away today, along with the Craftsy class. So you're going to be getting a Cascade mold. You'll be getting the two Bella and Bellissimo molds and 2 pounds of isomalt. So this is a really, really cool giveaway this week. So make sure that you guys go on. Again, in the chat area, there is that thing up at the top. Make sure you click on the thing to go and enter the giveaway. I will pick a winner at the very end. So make sure that you go and take advantage of that right now. And also take a look at the 25% off at Craftsy for Marina's class and of course Marina's website, which is fairly new, your shop part of your website, right? The
Yeah, definitely. I just kind of still kind of in the beginning stages of what I ultimately want it to be, but I did start that a few weeks ago. Finally got it up and live, and really the premise of it is, I have all of my molds that I've designed with Marvelous Mold, so there's a quite a large selection of different molds in the different categories there. But additionally, I really, pretty much since the first challenge I ever did, which, gosh, it's probably almost 10 years ago now, I really wanted to have a website where I was able just to share my favorite tools and equipment and kind of go one step beyond and, have a little write up about why I like them better than something else, because that's really the main questions I would always get after challenge. And now with the Craftsy classes, people are just interested in, knowing what the ingredients actually are. And for as many awesome cake decorating supply websites as there are now, back, when I first started challenge, there really wasn't. But there's some great places now. The only issue is there's just thousands and thousands of products, and a lot of people just get overwhelmed with the choice. And so my website is certainly not meant to be like your overall cake decorating supply store, just more of a curated version of what I use and why, and tips and tricks. And eventually we'll be posting different projects weekly, and have more of kind of a blog-like interaction as soon as I get my act together.
very cool. Well, you know what? I applaud you for that. It's a huge undertaking. I mean, I know I do this. So it is a huge undertaking, and so good luck with that. I really hope that works well for you. So yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go and talk about a cake that you did recently, which will lead into the training portion of our um, of today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up these slides again. And yeah, here you go. Sorry, it takes me a minute.
No worries. I saw somebody was asking on the chat where Jack is, and if you look right behind me, oh, you've got the pictures. Anyway,
Oh,
Jack's here.
Jack is there.
Chat.
We'll chat with
I'll
him here
talk
at
to
the
you.
end. All right, so this is a cake that you put together, and I mean, this is not just a cake. This is like a cake. You want to talk about it?
Yeah,
I see
definitely.
James there in the background.
That is James Roselle in the background. Yeah, he wanted me to give him a shout out, so hi, Jamesy. Um, he and I both got involved in this project, which was a massive cake to celebrate the city of Beverly Hills' 100th birthday. And a good friend of ours, pastry chef Donald Russell, who is currently the executive corporate pastry chef for Guitar Chocolate, was kind of the mastermind of this whole thing. When he was at the Four Seasons Beverly Hills, he created the 75th birthday cake, obviously 25 years ago. And through a random set of circumstances and conversations, he got himself involved in creating the 100th. And of course, it had to be bigger and better than the 75th. So he really just kind of reached out to his friends who just happened to be like the top minds and names in the pastry world. And everybody kind of came together over the course of a few months. I know Donald, this was in the works for him for almost 7 months. And everybody else kind of got in on it like in the last few months. And Awald Nodder flew in and spent a few days pulling sugar flowers. And it was like everybody just kind of came when they could and did prep work. And then like I went down for a few days, a couple of times before the actual event. And then for the actual weekend of it, everybody came together to assemble it. And there was a whole team in Los Angeles, people that were working with Sherry Yard, and there's a program called CCAP, which is a culinary program for youth that were involved. And so it was just like the craziest kind of magical experience in regard to the ultimate collaboration. Everybody kind of had their parts and pieces to do, and then somehow it all kind of magically came together that day. So the picture that you're looking at was actually the morning of the event itself, which they literally closed down Rodeo Drive for, which had never happened before.
Oh, wow.
And Donald built out basically a kitchen for us to do the final assembly in. And the truck that you see in the background where James is standing right in front of, that was a refrigerated truck that was holding all of the massive sheet cakes. They literally took 6 full sheets and assembled them together on like a piece of a full sheet of plywood. And I think there was, I forget exactly how many, I think there was 16 of those or maybe more. I wasn't really involved with that part, thankfully. But it all just kind of slid together. So the part that James and I kind of took lead on were these bags that you see me airbrushing. So the whole kind of concept, and you'll see in the later photos with it all kind of lined up, is that the massive part of the cake itself was a replica of the Beverly Hills City Hall. And then there was the street in front of it, which was kind of an ode to Beverly Hills, where all of these bags, so from one angle it was meant to look like shopping bags, and then the picture that you're seeing now we made to look like just kind of generic storefronts. So when they were all lined up, it looked like a some sort of a association with Rodeo Drive. So that's probably a better shot there. All the palm trees down the center were blown blown from sugar and pooled leaves. It was just really such a crazy amount of talent that came together to pull this off. Mike McCary was heavily involved. I kind of called him asking for advice, and somehow ended up with him actually physically making molds for us, and he created the cupola, the very top piece, and shipped that down from Seattle,
Wow.
and his daughter came down for the actual event. So it was really one of the coolest things I've ever done.
That is so, so cool. And here's the 100. Happy
Yes, that
100.
Donald referred to that as the hood ornament.
I like that.
I give James such a bad time about that, because like that was on our list of things to do too, and I left, and I expected him, because he lives in LA, so he spent a lot more time. They're working on things when I had to come back home, and I kept asking him. I was like, "So, have you done the sign yet? Have you done the sign yet?" And he kept putting me off, and came down to the fact he didn't want to do the sign. And the night the night that I arrived, Donald, I was like, "So, did James get the sign done?" And Donald was like, "No, we were kind of thinking you could do that tomorrow."
Oh boy.
So anyway, we whipped that up together the day
The
before.
day
So,
of.
yeah,
Oh, how funny. That's
exactly.
very cool. No,
But you'll see there's so much detail. It was just really fun not to be in charge and
hmm
just get to go make things pretty. And there was no real outline. It was just make things look kind of like buildings. So that's a pretty good shot there of
I love this one. This one is so cute.
some of the detail, and we've got a lot of my jewel molds and such. And really,
hmm
one of the things that I think kind of brought it to life was the tissue paper, and
hmm
really very lifelike. And initially, we were talking about doing it in gum paste, and that's kind of always how I've done tissue paper. Literally, the first challenge cake I ever did, it was kind of stacked boxes and clowns and such, and one of the lids off the gift boxes was kind of tilted up, and had paper thin gum paste sheets coming out. But I think we've all kind of done that, and it's a great
hmm
effect, but it's kind of a pain, because you have to get them to get them lifelike. They have to dry in a way that there's actually some motion, and they're brittle and they can break. And knowing
hmm
how many of these we actually had to do, I was bound and determined that there had to be a different way.
A better way, yeah.
Better way. And so I just kind of had this random thought about, trying to form wafer paper, which kind of seems to be all the rage these days, which is, it's great because it's inexpensive, and there's a lot of different things that, you can really do with it. It's just a matter of figuring out the best way to manipulate it so it doesn't break or tear, or that kind of a thing. So that's probably the best. That's one of my favorite shots of
I love this shot. It's fun.
the tissue paper there. And, we did it with just all white tissue paper, and then wafer paper, I should say. And then in the very first shot, you see me airbrushing it. And so
Uh-huh.
we just for the sake of time, instead of trying to airbrush each piece individually, we stuffed the bags, and then
And
I
then
just gave
airbrush.
a quick overspray just to get a really light color on there. And interestingly enough, just the little bit of moisture, which was just alcohol really, that was mixed with the luster colors, kind of contracted the paper in a sense, and I think it made it look less stiff and a little bit more lifelike. So I think it was a really cool effect.
Cool. A little bit more like the actual tissue.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
very cool. So that's something that you're gonna kind of show us a little bit today is how you got your tissue, or wafer paper to kind of give that same effect. And also there's a bow in this slide. Is that also wafer paper?
That one wasn't. That one was actually gum paste. We did the we did do the bows and gum paste, but I do
Okay.
have a couple of pieces cut here that we can play with for some similar bow type effects.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so I'm going to show you, or come back here to us. And we'll let you show a little bit how explain wafer paper to people. I know that a lot of people know what wafer paper is now because, like you said, it is kind of all the rage. But if you want to explain what wafer paper is, how it works, and how to make it, it's a lot of people have an issue with breakage and things like that. If there's any tips or tricks you can
Yeah,
offer on that.
definitely. So it comes in sheets. Either this is almost like a legal size piece of paper, or it does come sometimes in the kind of 8 by 10 version of it. It is, a lot of people refer to it as rice paper as well, although this is something a little bit different. This is something that is used in candy making to kind of wrap any kind of a nougat. I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it, but I think when I was in Italy, it was Toroni, I believe, was a brand or a kind of candy that was just kind of a nougatine with nuts and fruits and that kind of a thing. And you'll find that the bars are actually wrapped in this because the candy itself is very sticky, and this kind of keeps it all together. And it really just kind of melts in your mouth. It has zero taste to it, and it is completely edible. So I know as cake designers, that's always something that we kind of strive to do. So the paper itself it's just like paper. It's, very flexible. You would think you can fold it and do things with it like you could normal paper, but that's where things get a little tricky. It does get brittle sometimes. If you try and fold it, you get kind of jaggedy edges, and it just kind of tears. And so this is one of the things I think that people kind of struggle with in using it. But if you just kind of manipulate it and keep it dry, you should be able to create a lot of different things. And I always like looking like on Pinterest at like paper crafts or paper arts type sections. And there's always some really great ideas for different kind of paper flowers or bows or that kind of a thing. And while a lot of those are transferable to a gum paste or a fondant, you'll find sometimes when you need something to actually be stiff and kind of hold its own shape, fondant and gum paste doesn't really do that until it dries. But with the wafer paper, you can kind of get a little bit more animation in the shape. So let me just quickly show you what it was we did to create the tissue paper. So if you know how to make a pastry bag, you know how to do this. So I usually start with a triangle. I'm just going to cut this at a bit of an angle. So we end up with a shape, something like this. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, obviously. And all you're going to need in addition to your paper is a little bit of water. Water is what is going to make this stick to itself, and it's certainly something where a little dab will do ya. You don't want to get it too wet because it's literally going to dissolve. So we're going to just take this and fold it in. Let me do this again. So the goal is to take both points here and bring it down to the point that's facing towards you. So that is all I'm doing. I'm twisting and pulling this around. And you just kind of want to match up your points. Now, unlike a pastry bag where it really has to be a tight base there, you don't have to do that. This is just simply a general shape. So I take it, just kind of holding it, and I'm going to go on this back seam here and just run my finger with water all the way down and then flip that around and let it dry. And it pretty much sets up instantly. So we'll just let that one sit here. Now, another fun thing to do with the wafer paper is you can actually print on it with your edible printer. This looks really washed out, but I don't know if you can get a better sense of
Oh,
this.
yeah, I see the little dots in it.
Yeah.
Very
So, cute little polka dots. I've got some here that are hearts and some floral type designs. So really any pattern that you can find or create, you can just print it directly out on the paper itself. So this polka dot one, we'll just do some smaller sheets of triangles. So again, it's just a matter of twisting, and then adding some water. Now, it's important to go all the way down that seam, because I found when we were putting them in the bags, and the same thing will happen sticking them into cake, is sometimes you don't need all of this height, so to speak, and so you can go back, and as long as this is sealed all the way down, I would go and kind of cut this at an angle, and then you can just tuck in the part that you actually need. So we've got the same thing with the printed version. Now, I found when we started filling these bags that it was all very kind of cone-like, and another shape was really needed to kind of balance it out. So again, doing the oops, sorry.
That's all right.
I'll just ignore that. Okay, so again, just taking a triangle and a little dab of water. I'm going to put a little dab of water there and fold this in. I just love solicitation calls.
Aren't they the best?
Okay, so we've got this front one dabbed here, and then this one I'm going to fold back.
Okay.
And so we used the pieces like this. I mean, when you really kind of turn it around, and it gave us some different points. But then to kind of further create different shapes, I would take this and almost just fold it and put a little water down here. And so then you really get a different kind of a
the variation and
variation, and it just really kind of helps fill out that illusion. So I just have these like tucked in a little vase here, but it really looks very tissue paper like. Now there's lots of other things you can do besides the printed paper. You can use any kind of an edger. I've got all sorts of the scrapbook cutters, where if you want to do it on the edges that are going to show, this is just kind of a little scalloped edge. And again, it's just the exact same process with a little bit of water there. And then you can get something that's got a little bit more detail, as well as any kind of punches. This is just kind of a swirly pattern. I've got, let's see if I can take all of these out. I've got one here.
Oh, how cute is that?
I did punch outs there. And so there's really a lot of different applications. I think celebration cakes, especially birthday cakes, packages, gift bags, that kind of a thing. But once you just kind of start playing with the wafer paper, there's just lots of little fun twists and turns that can be appropriate for a lot of different designs. We talked about bows, and I've got a couple here that I've done. You can see it's just really a matter of some loops, and this one here is more kind of like an old school, this reminds me of like a Christmas present type loopy bow. And then with smaller widths of loops, you can certainly create any kind of a ribbon. One tip I will give you on that, I've got some paper here that I've just cut into different strips. One of the things about the paper is that when you do get to creases, it does tend to crack. So I found if you take a pair of scissors, just like you would with like curling ribbon, and just very gently like have your thumb pressed up against the scissor, really, really gently, just go over it a couple of times, and it kind of softens it for you, so you don't end up with harsh edges. And it will.
That's a really cool tip. That's really cool. I like that.
So to create any kind of a bow loop, again, it's just a little dab of water. I find that I like to do a circle first, and then take another dab of water and put it on that connection, and then fold down to find your center. And so you're basically creating these figure eight type things. And we can stack them up.
Okay, so I have a lot of people asking about the quality of your wafer paper. A lot of people have purchased some wafer paper that is either thinner or bumpier, or and it doesn't seem to be as heavy duty and as smooth as the wafer paper that you're using. Is there a certain brand that you use, or is there?
I don't know if there's a specific brand, but I get mine from Chef Rubber, and so I guess it's the Chef Rubber brand, and that's really the only one I've ever used. So I don't really have experience with lighter or different qualities, but that's where I get mine, and it's relatively inexpensive for like a large pack of it. So it's certainly worth kind of buying a pack and playing around and seeing what you like.
It lasts forever. I actually went and bought the Chef Rubber wafer paper also, and I was doing it for this big project. I don't know if you ever saw. It was last summer. I made a cake for a family reunion. It was a big giant tree.
Oh yeah.
I made all the leaves out of wafer paper.
Yeah.
And so I bought 2 of their packs of wafer paper, and at the time, I think they have smaller packs now, but at the time they were like serious wafer paper, and they're big too. They're really big. And so I bought 2 packages of those, and I still have not even gone halfway through the first pack. So I've got wafer paper for forever.
Yeah,
so it does go a long way. So it's definitely, you might think
paper.
You might think it's expensive or costly or whatever, but it goes a long way.
Yeah, it's certainly something that you can buy and share with a cake friend.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, but yeah, Chef Rubber does have a good brand, I think. I haven't really tried out any other brands either. So. Oh boy!
Go up there. Sorry.
There he is.
Let's be here.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so do you know what grade of wafer paper the Chef Rubber yeah, wafer paper is.
Do I know what grade it is?
What grade? Yeah, like a thickness.
I
Some
really
paper
don't.
actually have
It's the only one that they offer, so it won't be hard to find. But I don't know if these kind of things are graded. Like I know with gelatin, there's certainly like silver, bronze, gold kind of a thing. But with this, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do think that I've seen some wafer paper out there that has like a number on it as far as the thickness, but I didn't see that number on Chef Rubbers.
Yeah,
But
the package itself
yeah.
doesn't really have anything besides the Chef Rubber brand, so to speak.
Mhm.
I looked at that again this morning.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then someone's asking, could you suggest a good edible ink printer for bakers?
I use a Canon printer, and I honestly don't know where. I think the ink is from. I'm sorry. I think the ink I've got is from Copy Cake. It's been a while since I've had to replace it.
All right. Very good. And does it last for you?
It, it, it does last for me. I know a lot of people have issues with it. Here, see if you can calm down.
That fixes the problem, right?
But it certainly, I find that it lasts a long time. And quite honestly, and I'm sure I'll get some flack from somebody about this, if it's something that I know isn't going to be consumed, I will use a regular printer on it. Regular printer, it's kind of like that whole luster dust thing, non-toxic versus, FDA approved. I know plenty a cake designer who just puts it through their regular printer as the inks are non-toxic. So that's always an option as well.
Okay.
Don't say I told you.
Yeah, that didn't come from you.
It did, but it didn't. I mean, some people get very persnickety about that kind of stuff.
Well, I can see if it's going to be for like a display piece or something like that. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Something that's not going to be eaten for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. A lot of people talking about the Chef Rubber wafer paper, and it is good wafer paper. So.
Yeah, I see somebody asking about the size, and let's see, half sheet pan size, most of it. Oh, everything's moving now. Comes in packs of standard printer paper size. Yeah, so the nice thing about the Chef Rubber, if you want to do something larger, like this is like these strips are the full length, and so you can get larger bows and different things out of it, whereas if you're limited to like an 8x10 piece, it just kind of limits the size of what you can do. But it's really a matter of how big your projects are and how versatile. But if you want to, aside from the actual printing of it, you can, as you saw in the photos of the Beverly Hills cake, achieve some color just with some really light passes of airbrush.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it with vodka or Everclear or something that is going to evaporate and dry quickly, it will really retain its shape and just add the color. And then, of course, I tend to put disco dust and sparkle on everything. So while it was still kind of wet, I sprinkled some disco dust on just for a little extra glitter.
Yeah, very nice. I actually did teach a craftsy class, or not craftsy class, oh my gosh. I did a training. I'm so into the whole craftsy mode right now.
Yeah.
I did a training a little while ago on a wafer paper flower that I came up with, and I did airbrush the wafer paper just as the sheet. And as it was wet, it bowed just a tiny bit, but it was, it works well for, as long as you don't spray too much airbrush color on it. And just the regular airbrush colors that, they work, and I think they're all pretty much alcohol based, so it's not an issue of it, getting too wet.
Yeah, definitely. I see somebody was asking if they could use rubber stamps on the wafer paper, and I have actually done that before, just with using like airbrush color or even gel color, I think would work. But I would just make sure you like do your stamp and then press it on paper towels first so you don't have that real initial concentration of liquid, and then press it on your wafer paper. And that's a great way to get pattern on there as well.
Okay. There is one thing I wanted to address about the chef rubber wafer paper,
Uh-huh.
and that is that it does have a smooth side and kind of a more bumpy side, right?
It
At
does.
least
Yeah,
my
all
skin.
wafer paper does.
So it's just the nature of the wafer paper. When you're looking at this on the screen, it looks really shiny and thick, and I think that maybe people are thinking that it's more substantial um, than than in reality
It
it is.
really
It
is.
is definitely something that is thin, and it is something that you
It
have
is
to, really,
paper. So
yeah, you have to be delicate with it in a way. So, but I mean, it's sturdy enough. And then also another thing I wanted to talk about with the wafer paper is I think that there are different ways that it reacts based on your humidity. And if you're living in a more humid area, like on the coast of California, a lot different than the way it reacts in dry desert Las Vegas.
definitely.
So I mean, it's really it's something that you kind of have to, figure out how things work for your climate, your humidity levels, and
Yeah, and I mean
so.
that's true with most sugar doughs, gum paste, fondant. Certainly, isomalt reacts differently in different climates, and that's why it's so hard sometimes in answering all the questions that come through on the Craftsy platform. The cool part is there's people from all over the world, but at the same time, I'm not really familiar with the entire world's climate, so
Yeah.
a lot of times I find myself answering like, you have to just kind of experiment and find what works best for you and just stick to it. And sometimes I feel like that's kind of a cop out answer, but at the same time, it's really true. When I go and teach in different places, sometimes it's really frustrating because what always works for me here doesn't necessarily work in other parts of the country. So
Mhm.
it's certainly a fine balance. And it really can be day to day. I mean, we in California last week like had this ridiculous heat wave snap, which for us to be 90 degrees is end of the world material. Uh, and so we were melting completely. But today it's back down to 60s and foggy and perfect for me. But those drastic temperature changes, in the same location can affect what you do day to day.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So someone was asking about, can you fold or origami out of wafer paper?
That's where it gets a little tricky. When you fold it, it tends to kind of crack on the edges. I have tried, and if you do kind of the softening effect with the scissors, I have used before. It's one of Martha Stewart's big tools. Oh, I think it's a bone tool they call it.
Oh
It's for
yeah.
like scrapbooking and making like envelopes, and it just helps you do a nice crisp clean edge. So if you kind of score the paper in advance, you can get cleaner folds, but that is one of the downfalls, is that because it is an edible material, it tends to be a little more brittle than a standard paper.
Yeah, and I think again that has to do with humidity levels too, because I can pretty much guarantee that that would not work in Vegas, because
Yeah.
it's so dry. I
Yeah.
think that it would just break the second you got it past a 45-degree angle. It would just break in half.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I don't know if you can, it's too much white light, but I just folded this, and
oh, nice.
I
See,
mean, you can
I've never
get,
been able to get it to do that in
but
Vegas.
it's not. perfect. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a frayed thing, and I think if I folded it back again, it would probably, yeah, it just breaks. So.
So yeah, it is a very delicate thing. So origami might be a little bit difficult, but you know what? You can do kind of piece it look like origami, maybe. So yeah. Okay, so we have. I want to make sure you guys are remembering the giveaway. Make sure that you go and enter the giveaway right now. The link is above the little admin notice in the chat area. So it's cakefu.com/master-series/Marina-Sousa-90. So you should be able to just click on that. You shouldn't have to, type that in manually. It should be something you can just click on. Go ahead and enter that. We will be picking our winner in like 2 minutes. So if you haven't entered, make sure you go and do that. And also, for those of you that may not win the giveaway, make sure you go and take advantage of the 25% off discount that Craftsy has been so great to provide for you guys through our CakeFu training today. And it will be available for the next 48 hours. So it is the www.cakefu.com/Sousa. So we made it easy for you. cakefu.com/Sousa. And that will take you guys directly to the discount for the Craftsy class. And we really appreciate that you guys do take advantage of these, because that, in the end, it does help us do what we do here at CakeFu. So, yeah.
I see one question on the side. Somebody saying that they use mostly buttercream and wanted to know about buttercream interacting.
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
And it certainly will hold up, but I tend to put any wafer paper accents on the buttercream, like as the cake is going out the door. It's not something I would put in the refrigerator because it's going to absorb the moisture from the refrigerator.
Okay, so something that you either put on right as it's headed out the door or as you get to the venue. Something
Exactly.
that you don't want to, you definitely don't want to really refrigerate wafer paper when it's attached to anything that has any kind of moisture, because it's going to suck out that moisture once it comes to room temperature, and it will melt.
And another thing, I see somebody's asking about attaching it to fondant with water. You can do that. I tend to use coating chocolate to attach most things, and especially wafer paper, because the chocolate isn't going to affect the wafer paper. It's not going to melt it. So even, in creating different shapes and adhering, a coating chocolate is a good option that won't kind of melt the paper itself.
I like that. I like the coating chocolate. I've always used just like a piping gel type of.
That totally works too.
Yeah, so both of those would work. But maybe not water.
For big attaching, like if you're attaching something on the side of the cake, because it'll adhere and set immediately, so you don't have to like sit there waiting for it to set.
To set, yeah, because it will take a while. Yeah. All right. Okay. So as soon as Bobby gets me the winner here, I'm gonna have him. Oh, here we go. All right, drum roll. Our winner is Aldora Kitty. So I don't know if that's your real name, but that's the email. So congratulations to Aldora. You won the Craftsy class, and also there are 3 molds. You've got the 2 Bellissimo and Bella, and the Cascade bead mold, and also 2 pounds of isomalt from Sydney from Simi Cakes. So congratulations! That's a pretty fun setup that you guys got.
So, it'll definitely get you started.
Yeah, definitely. And again, make sure you guys go over, take advantage of the sale over at Craftsy, and check out Marina's website. Her molds are there, and
Yeah,
And
the
yeah.
complete collection, and I've got a whole new set of molds that'll be coming out in November. And Dominic from Marvelous Molds, who has created the onlays, which I'm sure people are kind of aware of. It's a new fun product. He let me design one of those, which will be out in June as well.
Awesome. That is so cool. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much, Marina, for coming and joining us today. This was a really great training.
Oh,
And
good. Thank you. I'm
yeah.
sorry about Jack. He had a bit of an ear infection, so I didn't want to
Oh,
ship him off today.
poor thing. Poor thing. Y'all, who doesn't like a puppy?
Oh, yes.
And he's so cute too. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming and listening and joining with us for CakeFu. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.